Google is probably one of the most widely used search engines today. And one of the most useful features is the advanced search operators that refine and filter search results, like searching for PDF files, locating key terms on a website, or narrowing down results by date or location. The advanced operators can surely help users save time and find exactly what they're looking for without sifting through endless pages of irrelevant results. Currently, there are more than 20 operators to filter Google search results, and it is almost impossible for an average person to remember all the operators. What if you have an AI agent that will remember all the operator commands and assist you with drafting search query by telling the agent what you want? In this tutorial, we are going to build a lightweight AI-powered desktop utility to craft Google search queries and run Google search for you using PydanticAI and Python. This is going to be more of an intermediate level tutorial, but as long as you have some Python experience and have access to generative models like OpenAI, Anthropic, or Gemini, you should be able to follow along. Now let me give you a quick demo of the app first so you know what to expect. So right here is the utility, a very simple UI. I've been using the tool almost every day whenever I need to search for something on Google. Now let's say I'm looking to buy a used car on CarMax near San Francisco. I can simply type, "Help me find a car on CarMax near San Francisco, maybe a Toyota around $20,000. If I run the search, the app will first fix any typo or grammar mistake, then come up with a refined query with the relevant operators applied. Now instead, I don't want a Toyota, I want a Lexus. Here I can type maybe a Lexus. Based on the past search history, the AI will remember I am searching for cars on CarMax. Another really useful use case is if you need to search for a specific file type. For example, I can say, search for PDF files on AWS certificate. The AI will figure out that we are looking for PDF files only and use the file type operator to return just the PDF results. And for the last demo, if we want to search for a topic based on the published date or a specific date range, for example, I want to search for Apple-related news between January 1st and May 1st, 2025. I can say, Apple's news between January 1st and May 1st, 2025. And it will automatically analyze my input and use the after and before operators to define the date range for the results. Really useful too if you do a lot of Googling. Now that you've seen a demo, let's dive into the app development. To build the desktop UI, I'll be using the PyQt6 framework. If you're not familiar with PyQt6, PyQt6 is a Python framework for building desktop applications using the Qt toolkit. Companies like Google, Adobe, AMD, and Dropbox use the PyQt framework to build their customer-facing and internal tools. And if you have used Spider for data science and machine learning, the popular data science IDE is actually built using PyQt framework. To get started, launch a terminal and run the command to install PydanticAI, PyQt6, and PyInstaller. Only install PyInstaller if you're on a Windows PC. If you are using Mac iOS or Linux, you will need to use something like PyQt deploy to package a PyQt-based application. Now, launch your code editor and create a Python file called app.py. In the script, start with importing the Python dependencies. To ensure our AI agent will always return the same output structure with the search query string, create a base model class called search query. Now create a function called setupAgent to set up our Google Query Generator agent. Since the task is relatively straightforward, we can assign the agent with an inexpensive model like GPT-4o Mini. The most important thing here is the system prompt to guide the agent how to produce the desired output. First, we will tell the agent what its role is. Next, insert the steps to produce the result. Then give an example and guideline of what to look for. And for the result type, set the data type as search query object. In PydanticAI, we can append prompt dynamically to include additional info using the system prompt decorator. In the setup agent function, create two nested functions to add current timestamp and Google operator list to the system prompt. By default, an AI agent does not know what day is today. We will need to provide the information first. After we finish set up the Google Search Query Generator agent, return the agent object. This step is only applied to Windows users. For some reason, sometimes PyInstaller is not able to figure out the resource file path when we package the app. To resolve the issue, use the resource path function to explicitly define the absolute file path. Alright, now let's dive into the desktop app development. Create a class called AppWindow with QWidget as the base class. The AppWindow class serves as the base window of our desk application. We will gradually add different elements on top of the base window. In the init method, set the window title and window icon. One of the greatest things about using PyQt6 is we can make the app look pretty by using CSS style sheet. Add the CS style properties to customize the window appearance. Next, use the resize method to set the initial window size when we start the app. To organize the UI structure, here we can create a dictionary called layout and store the layout managers to keep everything organized. The set layout method here is used to assign the main layout manager to the base window. Now let's work on adding the elements to the base window. Create a method called initUI. Inside the method, add all the controls to make up the UI appearance. The log window object will be used to display the search result history to provide the Google Search Query agent with the search query history as context. Input field object should be self-explanatory. This is where user enter their request. We will create the run search method shortly to assign to the return key pressed signal. Align the push buttons, create a horizontal layout manager. Then add the search button and reset button to the button layout manager. To execute a function a button is clicked, we will use the click signal here and attach the function that needed to be triggered. Again, we will create the functions later. The layout add stretch method here is used to add spacing, so that way the push buttons don't take up the entire layout space. This is optional if you prefer buttons to take up the entire horizontal space in the layout. And finally, we will add a status bar to display app status. Go back to the init method and add the initUI method. For the next step, we will add the system tray icon feature in the notification area to keep the app running in the background when we hit the X close button. Again, this is optional if you don't wish to add this feature and prefer to kill the process when you close the app window. To implement the system tray feature, create a method called initTrayIcon. In the method, first instantiate a QSystemTrayIcon object. Then use the setIcon method to add the icon for display. Then create a tray menu object to display the menu options when we hover the mouse over the app icon and right-click. For the tray menu items, we only need two actions, restore and quit. Once we set up the tray menu object, we need to link it to the tray icon. The tray icon activated signal here will restore the window when we click the app icon in the notification area. So basically, we can either click the notification icon or right-click to restore the window. And the tray icon show method will enable the tray features. Now let's add the rest of the tray icon methods. The show normal method will bring the app window back from the tray icon. I already explained the onTrayIcon activated method, so we will skip that. The close event method here is a built-in event method, which will get triggered when we try to close the app window. But since we don't want the app to be terminated, the procedure here is going to redirect the close action by ignoring the event and minimize to tray instead. And that's all for the tray icon related methods. Now create the reset search and run search methods to finalize the app. The reset search method will clear the elements listed in message history list here. And for the run search method, first we will load the request from the input text box, then pass the request to the Google Search Query agent to generate the Google Search query. When we set up the agent, we already specified the output type must be a search query object. Just for safekeeping, here, I'm using the isInstance function to validate if the output is a search query object first, then proceed to display the search query string on the log window and status bar, and use the QDesktopServices open URL method to launch the Google page with the query string entered. And the final step is to update the message history list. Now, go back to the init method. Add the init tray icon method and set up the Google Query Generator agent and the message history list to complete the desktop app. In the final step, insert the main routine to launch the application. All right, now let's run the script to test if the app works. For the first test, I will ask, give me a list of the NBA games scheduled today. Here, the agent refined the query with NBA game schedule, followed by today's date. Let's do another one. For the second test, I'll ask, help me find a car on CarMax, but don't include BMW, Lexus, and Toyota. If we look at the search query used here, the site operator is used to return results only from CarMax website, and the exclusion operator will omit results that contain the 3 car brands that I mentioned in the request. Everything looks pretty good to me so far. Now I want to show you how to package the desktop application into a standalone executable, so you can run the utility anywhere without needing Python install. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'll be using PyInstaller to package the application. If you're on macOS or Linux, you can stop right here. To package the application, open your terminal. Run the PyInstaller command showing on the screen to start the packaging process. Depending on the spec of your PC, it may take a few minutes. Once the process is done, in the distribution folder, you should see the executable created. Double-click to run the program to make sure it works. And that concludes this tutorial. I hope you find the video useful. If there are any tutorial ideas you have in mind and you would like me to cover, please leave them in the comments below. Also, if you are a Patreon member, you can download the source code from the link in the description below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Happy coding! See you in the next one.